Now,
on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
Good Wednesday morning to you. It's 6:06 on O'Connor and Company. It's the 20th day of September. My gosh, the final days of summer are upon us. Julie Gunlock, we knew this was coming. That's all right. You love fall. I love fall.
I
Don't
do.
You love autumn. Autumn is the best. Yes. All right, coming up, 6:35, we're going to talk to Cal Thomas on the political news of the day. 7:05, Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, senior fellow at Defense Priorities, about yesterday's action at the United Nations. And then at 8:05, did I just say action and United Nations in the same sentence?
You did.
Forgive me for that. 8:05, Representative Will Hurd, retired congressman, retired CIA officer who's running for president now. Yeah, no, I had to check that. It's true. Yes, he's running for president. Yeah. Well, he wasn't at the last debate.
Right.
Probably not going to be at the next debate.
Right.
But he's still. But you know that just because you're not at a debate doesn't mean you're not running for president. Donald Trump won't be at the debate.
That's right.
I mean, he could be if he wanted to. That's for sure.
Yes.
I wonder if Stuart Varney is calling him on a daily basis. Donald, please. But instead, President Trump announced yesterday, Julie Gunlock, what he would be doing instead of going to the debate, and it's pretty freaking brilliant.
Yeah, he knows. He knows how to run for president.
While DeSantis and Ramaswamy and Pence and Haley and
Christie,
Christie and the rest, as they all assemble at the Reagan Library in Simi Valley, California, President Trump will be in Detroit, Michigan, or probably more likely in a suburb of Detroit, Michigan, and he will be addressing striking UAW auto workers.
Brilliant.
Not only is Michigan a swing state, number one, not only is the labor vote and specifically blue-collar workers incredibly important to the magic of the 2016 election that knitted together those states of Wisconsin and Michigan and Pennsylvania that had been so elusive for Republican candidates for decades, but also two other factors. You know, the UAW, I think I mentioned this earlier in the week when this strike began, the UAW is the only major national labor union that has withheld a presidential endorsement for Joe Biden.
Yes.
And you remember in 1980, one of the biggest, a lot of people don't remember this. It was a huge, huge part of the Reagan victory. The UAW, for the first time in 50 years, I think, endorsed a Republican candidate. Mm-hmm. The UAW endorsed Ronald Reagan over Jimmy Carter, and that made a huge difference.
And we could see that moment. I mean, do we really think that these union guys, these hard workers, these blue-collar guys, like the transgender movement? No. Do you think that they like CRT and open borders and crime and spending hundreds of dollars for 2 bags of groceries a week? Do we think? Right.
Nope, I'm pretty sure
what
they
does
don't.
Biden have to offer these men? And you think about this voice, this message that Trump, and he does it, he delivers it in these funny ways. Boy, this is kind of his target audience.
Yeah. Now, the president of the UAW, Sean Fain, he has...
I keep thinking Sinn Féin.
He has pushed back on the idea that Trump will be appealing to the UAW. But let's just be clear, and I'll tell you what the president of the union had to say here in a moment. But just so you know, even if Biden does end up getting the UAW endorsement, that's about the union leadership. It's not about the rank and file.
Yes.
And this mess, even though I'm talking about this potential endorsement, this is really about the voters. Now, don't get me wrong. It would be great to get that endorsement from the union because it gets you money, first of all. Money spent on your behalf. It also gets you organization. You get the UAW working to organize, get out the vote in Michigan. Yeah. That will outdo much of the shenanigans we saw.
Yes, but you're right. You're right, Larry. The UAW and many of these organizations are no different from many of our institutions and corporations today who sound woke, who've gone woke, who are super lefty, but the members themselves are quite different.
Here's what the president of the UAW had to say in a letter. He said, "Every fiber of our union is being poured into fighting the billionaire class and an economy that enriches people like Donald Trump at the expense of workers. We can't keep electing billionaires and millionaires that don't have any understanding of what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck." Now, I ask you, and yes, it's true, the irony is that Donald Trump is a multi-billionaire, but his policies and his rhetoric and his aesthetic, frankly, appeals much more to Main Street than to Wall Street. Joe Biden is the elitist here, and his party and his
and
policies.
The millionaire.
Yeah,
I mean, give me a break. And
not from working.
Ill-gotten gains.
Yes. Trump's visit to Michigan signals a look ahead to the general election. That's for sure. It also, frankly, if I may, it elevates Trump. He is elevating himself with this appearance. Unlike, and I love Tucker, and I thought it was a brilliant move to do the Tucker one-on-one. But number one, it was pre-recorded. Number two, it wasn't one of those things where when you're watching television, there's this side-by-side, while these guys were debating. I think that actually Trump's appearance on Tucker that day, even though it got a ton of views, it actually didn't do what he thought it was going to do, which was sort of drown out the news of the debate. This... By going and doing his thing, by doing a rally and speech in front of auto workers in Michigan, a state that Republicans desperately need to win to be the president, and to appeal to these voters at a time when the Biden administration looks completely inept with this strike, it elevates him and it diminishes all the other candidates.
It 100% diminishes them. It makes them look like, you guys go fight over there.
Right.
It's like me and my kids.
Petty politics.
Yes, petty politics. He is, as you mentioned, he's running like an incumbent. Yeah. He doesn't need to play in the sandbox with these guys. And look at his polling, I mean, he's miles ahead of them. So in many ways, he's doing what anyone would do.
Yeah, it is truly a brilliant move. And so I really want to give him credit for that in a huge way. And I have no doubt that it's going to be a great speech. And it's going to be I'm assuming it's going to be a rally-like atmosphere. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe it'll be more of a, like the speech that he gave at Mount Rushmore.
Well, if he's smart, he does tend to do this sometimes. He makes it about himself. Mm-hmm. So let's see if he makes it about them.
Well, and I assure you he's going to make it about the inane electric vehicle policies that are really at the root of many of the problems that the UAW is feeling right
Biden.
now. And automakers.
Yes.
Right. Also, get this Politico article yesterday after this announcement was made. The headline of Politico, Trump scooped us, is the quote. Dems sound alarm on Biden's handling of the auto workers' strike. Donald Trump's decision to head to Detroit for a speech next week is setting off alarms among some Joe Biden allies. Biden people are whispering under the cloak of anonymity to Politico that they think this is a brilliant move, too.
Yes, and that is, again, Trump is already in the general. He's already running against his opponent, which is Biden. He doesn't even think about these other candidates. He is running a general election right now.
I love this quote of the Politico article, and then we'll rest this story for a bit. A union advisor, speaking on condition of anonymity in order to offer a blunt evaluation, said Trump, quote, is still himself, and he'll do and say crazy bleep, but he actually has people who know what they're doing around him. He boxed Biden in. It was kind of genius. It's like the East Palestine move as well, going to East Palestine, Ohio. The reason that Biden hasn't gone there is because when he finally does, it will pale in comparison to Trump's visit there.
It's pretty remarkable also hearing that almost praise from an outlet like that has not exactly been friendly. So it's pretty good.
There you
go.
go.
Good move.
So it will be must watch. I mean, this will be one of those things where you will be seeing side by side debate here, Trump in Detroit there, or you'll be flipping back and forth. It's well done, Team Trump. Yeah. 6:15 now.
Weeknights with Mark Levin, 6 to 9 p.m.
on News Talk 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
President Joe Biden addressed the UN General Assembly yesterday, along with other world leaders, and at one point in the speech, he got stuck. It was either, I'm not sure if it was a software problem or a hardware problem, but he definitely needed a reboot at this point.
Simply put, the 21st century results are badly needed. They're needed to move us along. Ugh. That starts with the United Nations.
I think that says it all. I think in the middle of it, he was like, and the 21st century, hold on, when did we get into the 21st century?
When did that happen?
I thought it was 1993. Wait, what? That can't be right. 21st century? Okay, guys. I thought that was a real estate company. And then there was this part of it. Listen, what you want from a president is clarity. You want coherence. You want competence. When you're on the world stage and literally everyone in the world is listening to you at the United Nations, you want to make sure that you are perfectly understood.
Now, we need to evolve our institutions.
He's got a stutter, Julie. It's not funny.
Do it again.
He's had a childhood stutter this entire
I got to hear it again.
Now, we need to evolve our institutions.
Oh, you know the thing. No, I'm sure he recovered from that. Let's hear the whole statement.
Now, we need to evolve our institutions and drive creative new partnerships. Let me be clear.
Oh, you've been clear, sir. Absolutely clear. But then I think they probably had like an Iranian running the teleprompter or something. Like this was sabotage. It's got to be the teleprompter. Here, listen to this part.
The road ahead is long and difficult, but if we persevere, and prevail, if we keep the faith in ourselves.
What does that even mean?
Nice alliteration.
If we preserve like we got to make jam? What? Pickling, perhaps. I got to say, and what? It's a 5-minute speech, right? Every leader gets 5 minutes, I want to say. I believe it's 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
And I know it's diplomacy, and you want to make sure you get everything right, letter by letter, word by word, and everything. But I got to tell you, I mean, the man's been in public office for 50 years. Most of it as a senator. You've worked for a senator before. What's a senator's main job? To BS. To just talk.
Yeah.
You just stand up there and you start talking. You can't tell me that. And then, by the way, and again, maybe I'm biased because my job is to be a radio host, and so we talk a lot. I got to think most Americans say, "Hey, can you stand up and just talk about for 5 minutes about something you care about?"
Yeah,
most people could do that.
Right?
He can't.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Exactly. All right, but that said, we've got a lot of fear in this world right now about existential threats. We just recognized 9/11. Terrorism is still a major problem in our society. And, of course, the threat of Russia, the threat of China, the threat of North Korea, the threat of Iran, right? The threat of the drug cartels on our southern border, the existential threat for children and human trafficking. But God bless Joe Biden. He used
Randy Weingarten.
He used most of his speech to hone in on the real problem that keep people up at night.
For one day, my administration, the United States, has treated this crisis as an existential threat from the moment we took office.
Now, he spent a lot of time on climate change, but can I point out, I think that the speech actually said from day one. From day one, my administration has treated the climate crisis as an exit. But instead, he said,
For one day, my administration, the United States, has treated this crisis.
So, I've been president for about 100 or about 1,000 days.
I can't even listen. It's interesting that you are able to listen to what he said, and you pick up on that mistake, obviously, because I can't get over the just mumbled,
the slurring mumbles,
which is like a drunk person.
You mean this part?
No, it has to involve our institutions.
I know, but so he's trying to say from day one, my administration has taken this crisis seriously.
For one day.
Instead, he said, "Yeah, we took it seriously for a day." Hey, come on, what do you want from us? We gave you a day. You want more?
For one day, my administration.
Twice.
He repeated it.
Twice.
But then he did address China. Because let's face it, China is, you ask any expert out there, and this
biggest
is
threat.
true. Democrats and Republicans, unless you're a Democrat working for this administration or you're a shill or something, they'll say, China's the problem.
Yep.
China is the bad. And let's not, why do you even have to look forward and say China is the problem that we're going to have to face?
With one exception, Larry, during COVID, China was not the problem.
Right. Well, no, I was just about to say, China just through, at best their negligence, at worst their deliberate evil actions, was responsible for releasing a virus that killed millions of people worldwide and crippled the world economy.
Yes.
And so what does he say about China?
Together with China on issues where progress hinges on our common efforts. Nowhere is that more critical than accelerating the climate crisis, than the accelerating climate crisis.
Gotta accelerate.
He
that
even got
climate.
that wrong. He
Which
wants
China's
to work
trying
with,
to.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
the
I'm going to work
amount
with
of
China
junk
to
they pump into the air.
accelerate the climate crisis. I think he meant de-accelerate. But the whole point is the only thing he had to say about China was how he's bending over backwards
To cooperate,
to work with them.
Yeah.
We don't consider them an enemy. No,
everything's
we
fine.
want to de-escalate the issue. There's no problem. We want to work with them because climate.
Yep.
That's what we got from our leader yesterday on the UN. Yeah.
We're fine. Everything's fine.
I mean, I'll let him have the last word.
Now, even as we evolve our institutions and drive creative new partnerships, let me be clear.
It's 6:23.
Now,
On News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
6:36 now on O'Connor and Company this Wednesday morning in the nation's capital. It's 7:05. We're going to talk to Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, the senior fellow at Defense Priorities, talk about yesterday's activities at the United Nations. And then at 8:05, Representative Will Hurd. He is a former congressman, former CIA agent, and now current candidate for president. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
Cal Thomas joins us now. Cal Thomas, of course, is a syndicated columnist and author of the new book, A Watchman in the Night. Cal, if I told you that there was a viral video of a naked man walking through an airport, and I said it could be Senator John Fetterman, does it bother you that your first response would be, no, that's impossible. It couldn't be Senator John Fetterman? Cal? I don't blame Cal for not responding to such an question. This is what I get.
That should not have been your first question.
I guess not. We'll reconnect with Cal in a moment. But it is true. You've seen the video of the naked man walking through the airport.
Larry. Carrie,
Did
whatever.
you just confuse me with Carrie Lucas, president of Independent Women's Forum?
Maybe I did. I just spent a lot of days with her because we had this big meeting. Anyway,
I might need to identify so I can get me one of them IWF fellowships.
I will say I saw that and it did flash through my head.
That it could
Oh
be.
no.
Right.
Poor Fetterman.
Poor John Fetterman is now walking naked through the airport.
He took that change of the dress code really seriously.
Well, what's
he thought it was a no dress code, meaning no dress.
Like you're not supposed to dress. I mean, well, it's fair to ask Senator Schumer, the majority leader of the Senate, what's stopping him from showing
You're
up for
hoping
this
Kristen
vote?
Sinema
Well, that would be inappropriate.
agrees with it.
I'm just thinking.
Well, Susan Collins.
If Congresswoman Boebert wants to be a senator from Colorado.
But instead, it's Susan Collins that says she's going to start wearing
Susan
a bikini.
Collins is going to wear a bikini. Good for her.
Good for her.
I empower the good senator from Maine to do such.
Maybe it'll catch on.
Anyway, my point is there are 99 other senators you could name. And you would say, well, that's impossible. There's no way that senator would be walking naked through an airport. But Fetterman, it's not outside the realm of possibility. Cal Thomas joins us now. Cal, go ahead, Cal.
When you first posed that scenario, Larry, the first thought that came to mind that it was you.
Oh,
it was you.
It was
I heard
me.
that.
Is that what he said
it was you.
I don't look like that. Cal, come on. You've seen me naked. You know better.
Oh,
darn.
Oh, darn.
Well, here's the problem with Cal Thomas. He is such a jet setter. Yeah. He could be scaling Mount Everest right now for all we know.
No. He's definitely on a beach with a pina colada.
Way too much effort with
exactly.
Mount Everest.
Come on.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll try to reconnect with Cal, I suppose.
Oh, bummer.
All right. But the John Fetterman dress code issue is actually a big one. None other than the Washington Post editorial board, Julie.
Yes,
Gunlock.
this is impressive.
It is. I got to hand it, broken clock syndrome. The Washington Post editorial board today decries this lack of norms.
Decorum.
Norms. Remember the norms. We're going to get back to norms, and the grown-ups will be in charge. And how did they put it? It's actually a brilliant statement in here. One would have thought, with public trust in government waning, the Senate might want to avoid looking even a tiny bit more like a high school cafeteria.
Good for them.
Good for them. Yeah.
And, honestly, I feel like right now with kids really struggling for sort of norms, for understanding what it is to be an adult, how to grow up, how to be mature. At this time, this is the time to sort of resume norms post-COVID.
It sets a standard.
Yes.
And you see this behavior, and it's just, it's fine. All right, we're going to try it one more time. All right, this is our last chance. Let's try to get Cal in here. Hello, Cal. Where are you? Why is it so hard to get you?
Well, I'm in Oxford. I don't know why. I think the Russian or Chinese hackers might be here. Anyway, I was about to tell you I had tea with a physics professor yesterday, and I told him once that I enrolled in a physics class once, but when I got the textbook, I flunked table of contents and they threw me out.
Sounds like my educational experience. Yeah. Listen, I want to cut right to it, Cal. This whole, Biden's now flexing and all excited at the fact that he got these hostages released, these Americans released from Iran. But I don't know, you throw $6 billion around to a terror state and you're going to get some action, I suppose.
Well, you used to have this policy of the U.S. government, no matter who was president, that you don't negotiate with terrorists, and you certainly don't give them money in exchange for hostages. But all of a sudden, we get this. I mean, you remember the middle of the night money pallet that Obama sent to the mullahs in Iran. Mm-hmm. That didn't turn out very well. And now you've got all of this supposedly unfrozen money going to Iran in exchange for hostages. I'm glad the Americans are back, but at what price beyond the money? This is only going to encourage others, not only in Iran, but in other dictatorships, to seize Americans and see what they can get out of the United States.
And, Cal, it is a stark contrast to President Trump's performance in this regard. I mean, my memory is that there were quite a few Americans who were being held in captivity by unfriendly nations. Trump got many of them released, and I don't remember any payments like this.
Well, that's right. And I think he's right to brag on that, if you want to call it bragging. But also the late Senator Richardson, I think, from famously negotiated some hostage releases from North Korea and other places without, as I recall, getting anything in return. The United States looks weak when we do this. And it just encourages our enemies to seize Americans anywhere. Now, I wonder what they would get for me.
Cal,
are you kidding? We would give the Fort Knox for you,
yes,
Cal. You're a national treasure. You're
thank
priceless.
you. Thank you very much.
Now, Cal, real quickly, you're in the UK. Tell us about these traffic jams you're seeing.
They've reduced the speed in central London to 20 miles per hour, making it rush hour not just for 4 or 5 hours like we have in Washington, but the entire day. And the street lights are timed now, so you can't go more than 2 or 3 blocks without stopping. You've got bike lanes. You have scooters all over the place. Now, this 20 mile per hour business is supposed to help reduce pollution, but I don't see how that happens when you're sitting at a light. And the government,
idling.
The Prime Minister has also stuck with his pledge to make the UK all electric by 2030, which the Conservative Party in Parliament says is absolutely impossible. I heard from a cab driver who said that he doesn't even want to turn on his air conditioning in the summer in his electric car because he's afraid of running out of energy.
Yeah.
You don't have the charging stations.
You also have a problem, though, of these climate activists sitting in the middle of the road in London. That's happening more and more now.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That's one of the reasons I think running over them to test tire pressure is a very good idea.
We are not encouraging such behavior. Just don't try that at home. That was a joke, everybody. The other problem there is you can't get even if you wanted to buy a Prius, you can't because they call it a Prius over there.
Oh,
morons.
Well, that's very good. And vitamins and things like that.
Vitamins and oregano,
aluminium.
Get out of that godforsaken country. What are you doing in Oxford anyway?
Remember the great line of Henry Higgins in My Fair Lady, an Englishman's way of speaking absolutely classifies it. The moment he talks, he makes some other Englishman despise it.
Thanks, Cal. Go
Cal.
Teach those Oxford smarty pants a thing or two, will you?
I'll be here all week.
There you go.
Bye.
All right, the latest company now to go way into the whole transgender craze is Braun. Now, this is the company that sells electric razors and other appliances, too. I think they've got a coffee maker and things like that.
Yeah.
And they're European-based, right?
Of
Braun
course.
come out of Germany. So they are apparently looking to increase their market share in selling electric razors. They're frustrated that only 50% of the population, men, shave their faces. So now they're appealing to women who are going through hormone therapy and go through radical body-altering
Mutilating,
surgeries,
not body mutilating
mutilation,
surgery.
To become men. They've got a topless transgender man with the full scars.
So a biological female.
This is a woman. I'm looking at a woman. Basically, I'm looking at a woman's breasts right now in this
removed
picture.
breasts and reconstructed
But
breasts.
the internals of her breasts have been removed. You can see the scars underneath. And there she is shaving.
She had a tattoo on her arm. But yeah, this is this effort to normalize. It's totally normal, ladies. If you feel like you're a man, to not live as a lesbian. If you're attracted to him, not to live as a lesbian, but to get the surgery, to totally be a lifelong pharmaceutical patient.
Does more than normalize it. It celebrates it. I mean, let's face it. Not every person gets to be a the face
mastectomy scars out in the open. Yes.
The other thing that's jarring about this is you see a picture and your brain tells you, oh, it's a man who's shaving, and then you look at without a shirt on,
right?
And then you look and then you see those scars and you say, oh God, oh God. Oh no! Now I know what I'm looking at, and it's really shocking. Actually.
Yeah, it is shocking, but it's meant to sort of normalize it, make it something that this is a man with mastectomy scars, so obviously has gone through a transition. Totally normal, right? Totally normal. I remember how pro-lifers used to use the pictures of aborted fetuses and how that was just not done.
How dare you?
It's so uncivilized,
indecent. Yeah,
right. But these kinds of things are totally fine.
Hey, Braun, you want to make some money off of women? How about you invent a good electric razor that they can use to shave their legs so that they stop stealing our razors in the shower? 652.
Making sense of your world.
I don't know where to begin.
News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Thanks for taking my call.
Making sense of the news.